What's up, guys? Welcome back to Ham House Sports. It's Big Matt and Little Matt, and this is episode 7 of Ham House Sports Guide to Collecting and Investing.
So we wanted to make a free video series just to help people with what we've learned in our time in the hobby, so that, we get a lot of questions all the time about cards, about things. And so this is kind of a comprehensive way to put a bunch of stuff down. Up to this point, we've kind of talked about why sports cards, why is it even popular, why does it matter, what drives the value, what to look for, which sports to focus on, which brands to focus on, grading cards, all of that, different eras of cards. So we've tried to create kind of almost a landscape so people can understand what drives the economics in the sports cards hobby. And now we're getting into the actual serious stuff, and that is where to buy, how to buy, what we've learned from buying. So this is going to be actually what can start to be really helpful for those of you that are in the hobby.
Yep. So this is about acquisition and buying, like you said. So there's multiple places you can buy. So the first way we'll talk about to buy is in person to person, like at a card shop or a card show, or somebody at a flea market, or somebody that local. And that's buying person to person. So
that's called vendors.
Yes.
These are people who do this professionally.
Yes.
This is how they make a living. They travel to card shows. They have a brick and mortar shop, or they set up at flea markets. So those are vendors. The other way,
auction houses. So there's multiple auction houses. There's Golden, there's eBay, there's PWCC, there's Alt, there's Heritage. There's all these different auction houses, and that's a way to pick up cards. A bad thing about this, like I'd say a con about this, would be that there's multiple people like not fighting, but like going after the card as well. So you have other competition for that card.
But you also have situations where the data in those systems can be manipulated. So if I'm face to face with a guy and I go, hey, do you want to buy this card for $600? And he says, yes, we shake on it and the deal's done.
And you pay him cash. Yeah.
Yep. In that kind of situation, somebody who has the card for sale could have their friend come in and put a really high bid on the card because they didn't want it to sell for that low. So there's some shadiness that can happen in auction houses.
Also, when you buy an auction house, a comp is a sale of a card. And when you buy an auction house, your comp shows on what you pay for the card. And a lot of people in the hobby don't want to pay full comps. So like a lot of people are flippers or investors, and we are too, but we're also collectors, but they don't want to buy at full 100% of what the card sells for.
Yeah, so if a card has a comparable sale of $100, they're going to want to pay $80 because, every auction house has fees and taxes and all that kind of stuff. And so when people are dealing person to person, you're generally dealing at a lower value. And so that brings up the third way to get cards, and that is just buying from another person. Maybe that person is a flipper or an investor, collector, but they're not doing it as a profession. It's other people in the hobby. Everybody's kind of doing it as a profession. Everybody's wanting to make money a little bit, but these are people who don't have overhead costs, to pay and all that kind of stuff. So that's an individual purchase. Facebook groups, Instagram, and there are now Discords, which are like online groups where people can go and share their cards, Twitter, and all that kind of stuff.
And the last way to get cards is opening boxes or getting into box breaks. So breaks, I think we've talked about this in a couple other videos back, but in case you don't know, breaks are basically somebody opening boxes. But if you're a Trevor Lawrence fan and you want some Trevor Lawrence card, you can buy the Jaguars and you get all the Jaguars cards in that box, and they open it in front of you on camera, and then they ship it to you, and everybody gets a team, and that's another way to get cards.
So one of the things that's really interesting to understand is ever since 2020, when the pandemic hit, the sports cards market has changed dramatically. People were forced into their homes. They were looking at their old collections. They didn't have a whole lot else to do. So they started getting online. They started trading and buying and selling cards. You had a massive influx of people into the marketplace. And so the marketplace started to rise. Then you had people and businesses getting government subsidies and PPP loans. And so guys had a lot of money extra coming in, and they could say, oh, let me go get this card. Well, they would be buying cards for like $1,000 and turn around and sell it for $2,500. We talked to a guy the other day who bought a card for like $3,000 and sold it for like $30,000.
50.
You know, it's just crazy what happened in that rush. It reminds me of when I got out of college. The real estate boom was happening, and I was in Florida, and people were buying land in Florida because it was second home territory. Guys from the Northeast, all of the value of the real estate started to rise because everybody's focusing on it. And then all of a sudden 2008 hit. There was a lot of fake money in the marketplace, and everything, it bust. It was a bubble that bust. There's a lot of people that are Debbie Downers and doomsdayers, and they say the sports card hobby is going to bust. There's probably a massive correction that has been happening and is happening. But what it's going to do is it's going to drive out all of the
inflated.
Yes, the inflation and what I would call the fake hobbyists who are just in the hobby to make a buck. And, you know, they're just kind of like see an opportunity and they just jump on it. You still have fathers and sons that do this for fun. You still have guys who've been collecting for 50 years. You still have sports enthusiasts who like their favorite player. So this is where, you know, this is not a retirement plan for you. Yeah. This is not a way to necessarily supplement your income, but it is a way that you can get engaged in something that you love to do, but knowing the market is key. Yes, what you saw in any kind of boom is card values going up and then they start to correct and come back down. We've been in while the market's been coming down, but we've still grown. We've still made money. So it's proof that you can make money in a down market, right?
Yes.
One of the things in traditional like economics, investing, Wall Street, it says bears make money, bulls make money, pigs get slaughtered. You ever heard that?
I've never heard that.
A bull market is a market that's boom, it's running upwards. And they say bulls make money. A bear market is a down market. They say bears make money. You can make money whether the market's good or whether the market's bad, but pigs get slaughtered. What do you think that means?
I don't know.
People who are greedy going to lose. If you get greedy, you're going to get slaughtered, right? Yeah. So in the sports card market, this is where you've got to be savvy. Make sure we're going to talk about selling next, but right now we're talking about acquisition. Buy right based on the market.
Yep.
Do not overextend yourself chasing cards. That's where we've made a mistake in the past. Be mindful of who you're buying from, right? And do not give into the hype of, you know, the guy that's like, dude, I got a deal for you, bro. All this kind of stuff. There's a lot of that stuff going on out there. You've got to be seasoned and you've got to be wise.
Also, like building relationships in the hobby
exactly
is some of the best way to get cards. Like there's some people, we made one deal with them and that we've made plenty of other deals with them just because we made that first deal and they were fair with their cards. We paid him quick and like, I like this guy. He paid quick. He was very easy to deal with. I want to make another deal with him, right? He shipped quick. He gave us a good deal, so I want to make another deal with him. So we just keep making deals and keep making deals.
Yep. So the market will weed out the bad, the bad actors. The market will weed out the guys who are just out for themselves. The market will weed out the guys who are greedy. And listen, the truth is there's a lot of people who've gotten into the hobby over the last couple of years that are greedy. And, you know, listen, people do whatever you want to do. It's fine. You know, but people who have been making, you know, a lot of social media presence and putting out all kinds of videos and it's a lot of hype stuff. And listen, that's great if that's who you are and what you want to do. I'm just telling the young investors, like, don't always give into the bright lights. Don't always give into the shiny stuff because it's not always completely legitimate, right? There's everybody has a story and everybody started off a certain way or whatnot, but just don't get caught up, I guess, in all of the flashy stuff that you see and build solid relationships, know how to buy, know where to buy, start small and do not get overextended, which is something we're going to talk about in our next video when it comes to organization and all that kind of stuff. So this wraps it up for acquisition. Anything else you going to say?
Episode 7 or 8?
I think 6, actually.
6?
Yeah.
All right, this is episode 6.